So it's a few minutes after 6, and we'll start this evening with a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive citizen input regarding community needs. City of Urbana is working to develop the 2023-24 Annual Action Plan, which outlines the goals and budget for housing and community development activities in fiscal year 2023-24. Notice of this public hearing was mailed to the media, emailed to various social service agencies and citizens, and placed on the City of Urbana's website on Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. I now declare this public hearing open. If anyone desires to express their views regarding community needs or the annual action plan process, please come forward and be recognized. Your written comments are also welcome. So does anyone want to comment on the annual action plan? No. Did you receive any written comments?
We did receive a letter in support of our community development block grant program from the Urbana Park District, and I'll just read that letter now. I am writing to you in support of the City of Urbana's Community Development Block Grant CDBG program. As you know, the Urbana Park District has been a recipient of numerous CDBG awards over the past years to help the Urbana Park District support the costs associated with our ongoing operations in Urbana. The CDBG program is a valuable tool to help assist community groups and nonprofits in meeting their mission, including the Urbana Park District. The Urbana Park District considers the City of Urbana a vital partner in providing services to our mutual residents. The CDBG program has the potential to make even greater impacts in Urbana as our staff teams work together to find better ways to utilize this funding. Thank you again for helping to provide critical resources to UPD as part of the work that the Department of Community Development Services oversees. We appreciate the city staff that administers this grant program each year. Our district can certainly demonstrate the value of the annual Community Development Block Grant Program and how it may be applied in the future. Sincerely, Michael Walker, President, Urbana Park District.
Any further comments? Seeing that there are no further comments, I now declare the public hearing closed, and we will move on to the agenda for this evening's commission meeting. So I'll call the meeting to order and ask for roll call.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Freeman. Commissioner Silvas.
Here.
Commissioner Diana.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Braden. We have a quorum. So the first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was February 28th. You received a copy of the minutes in your packet. Is there a motion?
I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on the minutes from February 28th? So we have a motion, a second to approve the minutes as presented in the packet. Call the vote. Do you want a roll call vote? Or can we just say? Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and the minutes from February 28th are approved. Were there any additions to this evening's agenda that came in?
No additions to
No
the
additions,
agenda.
okay. And is there any public input for the commission this evening? Okay, then moving on to the presentations of the staff report.
Thank you. I passed out this evening 2 pages of goals not met in the consolidated plan. This is response to the CAPER that we submitted to HUD for review. They came back and questioned why some of these projects hadn't been done. For those of you that are new to the commission, when we do our 5-year plan, we just kind of guess what we're going to do over the next 5 years. And HUD used to allow that guess, and then we just explained why it didn't happen. Well, now they're wanting us to go back and make an amendment. So, for example, this facade treatment, business building rehabilitation, we haven't had any requests, and so we just haven't done any. So I'll go back and amend the consolidated plan and remove that. And same with several of these others. Some of them will just update our annual action plan. So, for example, the direct financial assistance to home buyers, We had a down payment program during this annual action plan year, and we only had one request to use it. So if the banks don't put in a request, then it's difficult for us to spend the money. So there was a couple rental units constructed and rehabbed, projects we thought we were going to do with the Housing Authority, and just due to financing, they didn't happen yet. They may. So I will probably in the annual action plan just make a note that we're not going to remove that, because we do currently have 2 projects pending that we're hoping will go through in 23, 24. So that's just an overview of the changes that we're going to make based on feedback on the annual report to HUD.
Hey Sheila, I got a question.
Sure.
The financial assistance, you said that the banks, so they have to essentially tell us that they're wanting to utilize it for us to be able to pay out to them for first-time homebuyers?
Yes,
essentially?
sure. And that's the way it works. And we have a local group of lenders, Community Reinvestment Group, that's got Busey, First Federal, First, Mid was on there, Hickory Point Bank, just the local that have a depository account in the community.
Sure.
That we go to monthly and kind of, listen to what their needs are and design this program for that. This is a pretty simple program where it was truly a grant. Sometimes if you do the deferred payment loans, it got a little tricky, but it was strictly a grant to cover down payment cost or closing cost. And like I said, we got one request. And I think part of the reason with the state of Illinois the Illinois Housing Development Authority has down payment programs.
Sure.
And the interest rates as low as they were, why the lenders didn't go forward with
Sure.
it, because why?
I get that. I know for sure one of those banks that you mentioned struggle just with their CRA
Right,
stuff,
right.
and it's
Busey's the only
surprising.
one that used it, and that particular lender will stack as much money as she can
Chill.
for. Yes,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah, she's amazing. Right,
She is
and that's what I'm
amazing.
saying. That it's one of, I know another one though that they struggle in that area, and
Right.
it's like free money. Right.
Right,
Just
yeah,
asking.
we tried to make that program as simple as possible, because we ran a down payment program with home funds in the past, and home requires the house to be brought up to code before you close, and so there was a lot of gymnastics that went on. If the house had been vacant or rented by a tenant,
Sure.
it caused additional problems, so we just thought this would be the easiest program ever,
Yeah,
and we got
yeah.
one request.
Wow. Okay. Thank you.
I would maybe add to that, I think they're struggling because the homes that normally would be served under this program, the inventory is so short,
Yeah.
especially in that area.
Yeah.
So there are very few targets to
Sure.
try and put it together for anyway, I think at this point. A lot of that stock has been bought up by groups.
What are
and
they-
So it just isn't.
Are they like
available.
under 120,000 or something like that? Is it or
I think
Yeah, they.
the
they
cap
offer-
for the MFI for this area, it runs between 140 and 150.
okay?
Depending upon the family size.
Finding homes in that price range is next to impossible.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Oh.
The other item that we have under the staff report is just an update on the city's youth services grant program for 2023-2024. So that application process will close on Friday, March 31st. So we have $300,000 in funding for local nonprofits that are providing services to low-income Urbana youth. So we're hoping to get some really good applications from agencies in the community. Staff held 2 application assistance workshops, one in February and then one at the beginning of March, just to provide an opportunity for agencies that are interested in applying to come and learn more about the program, learn more about the program requirements, how to apply, things like that. So we had really good attendance. I was excited about that. So once we close the applications on Friday, there will be an internal grant review committee that will review the applications and then make funding recommendations. And then those funding recommendations will come to you all early to mid-April, and then you'll be, forwarding those recommendations on to City Council for approval. And those agreements will be executed starting July 1, 2023. And that concludes our staff report.
Any questions or comments on the staff report? Next on the agenda is unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before the commission this evening?
There's no unfinished business.
Okay. And then new business.
So we have a couple of items on the agenda. One is a senior repair program grant agreement. We are just, we've done this for several years with Regional Plan Commission. They will do smaller repairs, like replace a storm door, anything that's below $1,700, they will do on behalf of Urbana residents, and then we pay them to do that. We've found by partnering with the Regional Plan Commission, then when they're out at a senior's home, they can see if they need Meals on Wheels or other services that they already are familiar with and prepare for. So we've increased this year's to request a $60,000. We have found that we are serving a lot more people now that COVID has ended and we're back out in homes again. So we're hoping to have another 2-year agreement that seems to work well for continuity of the program.
Along with increasing the amount on that, has there been any consideration about increasing that threshold that RPC works under?
No,
You can't get what you used to get for $1,700.
Right.
So that would preclude some repairs they used to do.
not really, because if they are over the 1,700, they ship them back to us for our emergency repair program. So we are keeping our program similar to, or, well, exactly the same as Champaign and the exact as RPC. But then if they find that they get out there and they not only need a storm door, but now they're, need a new water heater or need other things, they send them back to us so that the citizens still get what they need.
Right, I knew they always did it with that. I'm just meaning that, like I say, $1,700 doesn't get you.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's supposed to be for those minor repairs, so. And we did check in with Regional Plan Commission in February to see if that amount was still sufficient or if they felt like we needed to increase it, and they felt like it was still sufficient. So we'll continue to stay in touch with them, and if we feel we need to increase it, because we definitely don't want anybody left out that might need help.
So I see here it says a 60K program for 2 years, serving 12 people per year, so 24 people total, so about a little less than 3K per person-ish.
Right,
Something like-
2,500 per person,
Okay.
because we also pay them an administrative fee to do the program. So that covers the project plus administrative fee.
Okay, thanks.
A quick question, maybe a dumb question, I don't know.
No,
Is the, so how are we determining, like, is there like an appraisal, a miniature appraisal or something like that, for determining how, the cost of whatever repairs for these, families or individuals?
they have rehab techs that they use to go out and assess the cost of the program.
Okay.
They're usually pretty similar repairs. So like I said, I know storm door replacement is a common one, or maybe a window is broke and getting that repaired. It's really those smaller type things.
Okay.
But their rehab staff will put it out for bid or assess the cost. And,
So as long as it's under that
yeah.
amount of.
And that's why, when they get into it and they find out, oh gosh, this is bigger than we realized, then they'll ship them back to Hillary to move on in through one of our programs.
Okay.
Any other discussion on this proposed changed agreement? We have 3 options we will be forwarding to the City of Urbana Committee of the Whole. So we can recommend for approval, we can recommend changes, or we can recommend that they not approve, or we do not recommend approval. So I guess that's what it would be, do not recommend approval. So is there a motion for one of those options?
I move to approve that we forward to the city as written with a recommendation for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and the motion carries, and we will forward the agreement to City of Urbana Committee of the Whole with a recommendation for approval. So I think that's the extent of the new business, right?
No, we have private activity bond cap that we added to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Is that on the new agenda?
It should be in the packet left on your desk.
Yeah, you know, Hillary sent me a new agenda, and I didn't make myself a new one. Sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah, this has a lot more things on it than my outdated agenda. Okay, all right. So we did item A on the agenda. Now we're on to item B.
Yep, so item B is a resolution approving the transfer of volume cap to Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority and the Illinois Housing Development Authority. Those were the two requests that we got this year. So those of you not familiar with bond cap, it's a tax-exempt bond issued by local or state government for financing projects owned and operated by a private user. This isn't city cash. It really is a bonding authority that we are giving to these two agencies to apply for. So the total amount that we have available, this year the state of Illinois raised the per capita amount from $110 per person to $120. With our population at 38,681, our total authority is $4,641, $720. Jeez. So we just split that in half and asked that 50% go to the Eastern Illinois Economic Development Authority, and the other 50% would go to IDA. We have never done work directly with Eastern Illinois, but they have done projects in Champaign. They do work in partnership with the Housing Authority. The Housing Authority has a lot going on right now, so we're hoping if, you know, they get some of our bond cap money that they'll apply it towards projects within Urbana, but there's no requirement that they have to. Illinois Housing Development Authority has done quite a bit of work in partnership with Urbana, Crystal View, and I always forget the name of the Kerr project, Kerr Avenue. So they've done some housing development projects in Urbana, and we currently have 3 tax credit applications that are pending in Chicago for their review right now. So, you know, hopefully that will go through and they'll be able to use their bonding authority to help finance those projects.
So you want a motion from the commission about whether or not we recommend approval for that to council? Okay. Is there a motion?
I don't quite understand what a bond cap is, so, and then also it looks like we don't know it's gonna benefit Urbana, is that?
No, we don't. It's going to benefit the state of Illinois, but we're
Okay.
hoping that if they get it, and if you guys decide you don't want to forward this with a recommendation, after May 1st, anything that we don't give bonding authority to, it goes back to the state of Illinois, and June 1st, they recommend who they want to get the funding. So, again,
So if we don't do anything, then
goes to the state.
it goes to the state, and we will almost certainly get nothing. But if we
Right.
do this, we'll
We
have a pretty good
potentially
chance.
Yeah, we potentially have
Okay.
an opportunity for projects in Urbana, but there's no requirement.
Is it possible to require such a thing? No. Okay.
I don't believe so under the structure of IDA. Historically, in the past, we have often ceded all that money to them and no regrets or bad issues from it. They are kind of the largest recipient of those sort of funds. They just do so much of it.
And they also do a down payment program with a lot of the funding that they get throughout the state. So that does help our home buyers. And again, it's not cash, it's just the authority for them to raise bonds.
Okay.
I'll move that we forward the resolution to cede the private activity bond cap split between those two sources to city's council with recommendation for approval.
Have a motion, is there a second?
I second.
Patty has a second. Any further discussion?
Definitely still need some understanding. I was just saying, I would still need some understanding of it, but we're good, we're good.
Okay. Okay, so I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion on the table, say aye. All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and the motion carries.
And just, Sean, at the very back of the packet is the state of Illinois guidelines. And we're a home rule community, so it gets a little confusing reading all of it, but
So, is that the last item on our agenda? On our newer agenda? Thank you. So, having exhausted our agenda, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you for
thank you.
Thank you.
audience member.